Most tractors make sense the moment you see them. They're practical, predictable, built to work the land and nothing more. But every once in a while, something else appears. A machine that breaks the rules. A design no engineer should have approved. A tractor so strange, so risky, or so far ahead of its time that people questioned whether it was even real. Some of these machines were tiny, almost comically small. Others were enormous, shaking the earth with every stroke of their engine. A few were built in secret, far from the eyes of the world, and one of them wasn't just a tractor at all, but an idea too advanced for the decade that created it. Yet despite their flaws, despite their danger, their cost, their complexity, these machines didn't just exist. They worked. They plowed fields, crossed continents, and rewrote the rules of what a tractor could be. So before we begin, take a breath. Forget everything you think you know about agricultural machines, because the tractors you're about to see weren't made to fit the world. They were built to challenge it. These are the 7 impossible tractors, the ones that shouldn't have worked, but somehow did. Ranked 7th, Gibson Model D, 1946 to 1948. It looked like a toy left in the wrong place at the wrong time. A machine so small, so bare, and so unconventional that most farmers laughed the first time they saw it. But the Gibson Model D wasn't built to impress. It was built to survive. And against all logic, it did exactly that. Born in the years immediately after World War II, when steel was scarce and American ingenuity was at its peak, the Model D ignored almost every engineering rule of its era. No brakes, no reverse gear. A seat positioned dangerously close to the engine. A frame so light you could almost lift it by hand. On paper, it shouldn't have been able to pull anything bigger than a garden cart. In reality, thousands of these tiny machines went to work across the United States, proving that simplicity, when executed well, is its own kind of brilliance. Under the hood sat a Wisconsin AEH single-cylinder air-cooled engine, generating 6 horsepower, or 9 in later versions. That power traveled through a 3-speed gearbox and a chain-drive layout mounted on a minimalist channel steel frame, weighing just 955 pounds. Adjustable rear wheels ranging from 33 to 53 inches gave the little tractor surprising stability and let it handle everything from vegetable gardens to small farms with confidence. As demand grew, Gibson released upgraded versions. The Super D, which finally introduced a proper steering wheel, and the Super D2, powered by a sturdier 12-horsepower Wisconsin TF twin. Attachments transformed the Model D from a simple helper into a true multitasker. Plows, tillers, mini dozer blades, even fenders and custom implements crafted by local farmers. Today, collectors treat the Gibson Model D as a mechanical underdog, a reminder of a moment in American history when innovation didn't mean bigger or stronger. It meant making the most of what you had. Crude, shaky, and even dangerous by modern standards, the Model D still embodies a rare kind of charm, a tractor that had no right to work and yet worked anyway. A tiny machine, a fragile design, and an impossible legacy that refuses to fade. Ranked 6th, International Harvester 8-16 Junior, 1918 to 1922. Before anyone understood what it could do, the International 8-16 was already turning heads. Not because it was powerful, but because it looked absolutely nothing like a tractor. With its tiny front wheels, stretched backbone, and sideways mounted engine, the machine carried an eerie, almost alien profile. Farmers joked it had fallen off a flying saucer. But the truth was far stranger. This bizarre-looking tractor was one of the most important engineering breakthroughs of its time. Released during a period when farming was transitioning from horsepower to mechanical power, the 8-16 arrived with ideas decades ahead of the competition. The most revolutionary, a functional power takeoff system, a feature virtually unheard of in the 1910s. This single innovation allowed the 8-16 to drive external equipment directly from its engine, laying the foundation for what every modern tractor uses today. At its core was a kerosene-burning 4-cylinder engine. On paper, it delivered 8 horsepower on the drawbar and 16 on the belt. But early Nebraska tests told a different story. The little Junior consistently produced more power than advertised, 11 and 16.5 horsepower, quietly outperforming its own specifications. Over its production run, displacement increased from 251 to 284 cubic inches, giving it enough strength to pull two bottom plows on cheap, easy-to-find kerosene fuel. The engineering quirks didn't stop there. Its three-speed transmission fed a chain final drive system, and cooling came from a radiator hidden at the rear of the machine. An unusual placement that surprisingly gave the tractor excellent weight balance. Everything about it looked wrong, but everything about it worked. Between 1918 and 1922, more than 33,000 units rolled out of Eicher's Chicago plant. Each one proved a single point. Sometimes progress comes wrapped in a shape no one understands, at least not immediately. The International 8-16 wasn't just odd. It was a mechanical pioneer that rewrote the rules of tractor design and quietly shaped the DNA of every machine that followed. A tractor that looked impossible, yet changed the world anyway. Ranked 5th, Silver King Model 42, Flying Tractor, 1930s to 1954. Most tractors were built to crawl. The Silver King Model 42 wasn't one of them. In an era when farm machines moved at walking speed, this lightweight aluminum-built oddity could roar down a country road at nearly 60 kilometers per hour, fast enough to terrify drivers, shock lawmakers, and earn the nickname that still follows it today, the Flying Tractor. What gave it wings wasn't brute horsepower, but clever engineering. Under the hood sat a Continental F162 four-cylinder gasoline engine, good for about 22 horsepower on paper. But the key advantage came from weight, or rather the lack of it. The Silver King's aluminum body, paired with rubber tires at a time when steel wheels still dominated, turned it into one of the most agile tractors of its generation. On the road, it accelerated with a punch no one expected from a farm machine. Some towns reportedly warned farmers not to take it onto busy streets because motorists panicked at the sight of a tractor keeping up with their cars. The Model 42 came in both tricycle and standard four-wheel configurations, supported by a rugged four-speed transmission. Optional high-speed gears pushed its top velocity into dangerous territory, dangerous enough that stories of local bands and shock sheriffs became part of its legend. Early versions were even among the first tractors specifically designed for rubber tires, dramatically improving ride comfort, fuel efficiency, and road handling. But perhaps the most unusual chapter in its story came from its name. The company originally tried to market the machine as the Plymouth Tractor, until Chrysler stepped in and forced a rebrand. The solution? A $1 trademark settlement and a bold new identity, Silver King. The shimmering paint, the lightweight frame, the unexpected performance, it all fit perfectly. Production ended in 1954, but the legend hasn't slowed down. Today, restored Silver Kings still race across showgrounds, proving that this tractor didn't just break the rules of its time, it outran them. A machine that shouldn't have been fast, but was. A farm tool that behaved like a road racer. And an impossible design that turned the quiet world of agriculture into something thrilling. Ranked 4th, Eicher Mammut ED 310, 1959 to 1962. Long before its engine ever fired, the Eicher Mammut ED 310 earned a reputation because nothing about it seemed possible. A compact blue tractor on the outside, but hiding a mechanical giant within. Farmers didn't believe the rumors at first. 1 cylinder, 10 liters? Impossible. And then they heard it run. The Mammut was born in post-war Bavaria, a time when practicality ruled every workshop. Yet Eicher's engineers chose the opposite path. Build something outrageous, something no one else dared attempt, a 10.3-liter single-cylinder diesel with a piston the size of a paint bucket. Every ignition stroke sounded like a hammer hitting an anvil, shaking the ground beneath it. This wasn't smooth, quiet power. This was raw, earth-moving force. Despite its simplicity, the engineering was remarkably advanced. The air-cooled design eliminated water pumps, hoses, radiators, and the failures that often accompanied them. One massive cylinder meant fewer moving parts, fewer brake points, and a torque curve that felt endless. Power traveled through a stout manual gearbox into heavy steel axles and tall rear wheels built to claw into the soil. At over 2 tons, the Mammoth was not fast, but what it could pull shocked everyone who stood near it. From 1959 to 1962, only 636 units were produced, partly because the tractor was expensive to build, partly because it demanded a certain kind of farmer, one comfortable sitting directly in front of a diesel cannon. Yet those who owned one swore by its reliability. Winter cold, the Mammoth didn't care. Heavy draft work, it thrived. Mechanical complexity, almost non-existent. Its design was brutally functional, exposed linkages, thick steel, oversized cooling fins, and a layout that made every component easy to access. Operators didn't just hear the engine, they felt it hit like a drum beat beneath the seat. Each power stroke was a reminder of why this machine existed, to do the hard jobs no ordinary tractor could manage. Today, the Eicher Mammut ED 310 stands as one of the rarest and most collectible tractors in Europe. It is a monument to a forgotten era of mechanical bravery, a time when engineers experimented boldly, unafraid of building something extreme. The Mammut didn't just plow fields, it announced its presence with a thunderclap and left the earth trembling in its wake. Ranked third, Doe Dual Drive, Triple D, 1960s. Most tractors became legends because of power, innovation, or size. The Doe Dual Drive became a legend for a different reason, because no one expected 2 tractors bolted nose to nose to work. And yet this strange hybrid didn't just work. It outperformed machines far larger and far more expensive. The idea emerged in rural Essex, England, where a farmer named George Pryor needed more pulling power than any single tractor could offer. Instead of waiting for manufacturers to catch up, he took 2 Fordson major tractors, removed their front axles, joined their frames, and created something the world had never seen. An articulated, twin-engine, 4-wheel drive brute capable of doubling the output of conventional farm machines. Doe engineers saw the prototype, refined it, and the Triple D was born. With a pair of Ford diesel engines working in unison, the Triple D delivered a combined power output that shattered expectations. Each half-tractor kept its own gearbox, meaning the operator could control both power units simultaneously or shut one down to save fuel during lighter work. The articulation joint allowed the machine to bend in the center, giving it turning agility uncommon for its size, and the massive rear wheels on both ends turned it into a ground-gripping monster capable of pulling multi-furrow plows through heavy clay soils that stopped other tractors cold. Operating the Triple D was an experience in itself. The cab sat high above its twin frames, giving the driver a commanding view of the field. Beneath the seat, 2 engines growled in sync, an unmistakable sound that became its signature. When both throttles opened, the machine didn't accelerate so much as surge, delivering torque that felt endless. Farmers who drove it described the sensation as controlling a pair of giants wearing the same coat. Despite its power, the Triple D wasn't without quirks. Maintenance meant working on 2 engines. Fuel consumption doubled when both ran at full load, and the size of the machine made it impractical for smaller farms. Yet in the 1960s, before true high-horsepower, 4-wheel drive tractors existed, the Triple D filled a gap no manufacturer could match. It provided raw pulling power years before mainstream brands caught up. Only a limited number were built, making surviving units incredibly valuable today. At vintage shows across the UK, the Triple D still steals the spotlight, towering over crowds, rumbling with twin-engine authority, and reminding everyone that innovation sometimes comes not from factories, but from farmers willing to try the unthinkable. The Doe Dual Drive didn't just break the rules of tractor design, it ignored the rulebook entirely and built its own path through the soil. Ranked second, Rába-Steiger, 250, 1979 to 1989. Long before global manufacturing became normal, one tractor crossed political borders no one thought could be crossed. In the late 1970s, at the height of Cold War tension, Hungary and the United States quietly teamed up to create a machine that didn't just bridge 2 hostile worlds. It crushed fields with a level of power European farmers had never seen. The result was the Rába-Steiger 250, a 12.5-ton articulated monster built with one goal: dominate the land. From a distance, the 250 already looked intimidating. A tall, boxy cab sat high above massive dual wheels, giving the tractor the profile of a steel fortress. But what truly set it apart was its American DNA. Hungary's Rába factory licensed the articulated frame design directly from Steiger, then one of the most respected heavy tractor builders in the world. The partnership was unlikely, controversial, and politically delicate, but mechanically, it was a perfect match. Under the long, angular hood lived a Rába-Man D215 six-cylinder diesel engine, a brute force power plant displacing more than 10 liters. Rated at around 250 horsepower, it produced the kind of low RPM torque that could drag multi-bottom plows through wet, sticky soils most tractors simply drowned in. Power fed through a Dana Spicer 10-speed transmission and full-time four-wheel drive system, giving the machine relentless traction on slopes, clay, and deep mud. Its articulated steering was another advantage. Unlike rigid European tractors of the era, the 250 bent at the waist, pivoting its entire body with hydraulic force. The result was tighter turning, better weight distribution, and grip that seemed impossible for a machine this size. Operators sat inside a fully enclosed, heated cab, an uncommon luxury in Eastern Europe at the time, surrounded by tall windows that offered commanding visibility. Field performance quickly built its legend. The Rába-Steiger 250 wasn't fast, topping out around 25 kilometers per hour, but raw endurance was its weapon. With a massive fuel tank and industrial-grade cooling system, it was built to run from sunrise to sunset without flinching. Farmers who worked with it often described the same sensation. Once the 250 dug its wheels into the ground, nothing stopped it. Not soil, not slope, not weather. Between 1979 and 1989, thousands rolled out of the Rába plant in Győr. Many were exported back to the West, rebadged as International Harvester, Case 1H, or Steiger models. A rare moment when a Cold War collaboration outperformed expectations on both sides of the Iron Curtain. Today, survivors are prized not just for their strength, but for their story. A tractor born from two nations that were never supposed to work together. The Rába-Steiger 250 wasn't just powerful. It was politically impossible, mechanically fearless, and decades ahead of European heavy tractor design. A machine built in a divided world, yet strong enough to unite two engineering traditions in one roaring, unstoppable beast. In first place, Minneapolis-Moline Uni-Tractor, 1950s. Most tractors were designed to do one job well. The Minneapolis-Moline Uni-Tractor wasn't interested in that. It was built around a far more radical idea: one engine, one operator, one core machine, and an entire universe of interchangeable front-end tools. In the 1950s, this level of modular engineering was unheard of. Yet Minneapolis-Moline tried it anyway, producing what many still call the boldest, strangest, and most ambitious farm machine of its era. At first glance, the Uni didn't look unusual, but everything that mattered was hidden in the layout. Instead of mounting the engine up front like a traditional tractor, engineers placed it behind the operator, turning the entire front of the machine into an open framework designed to accept attachments: a combine head, a corn picker, a forage chopper, a baler. Even experimental implements that never reached mass production. With the right front module installed, the Uni could transform from field tractor to harvesting machine to industrial tool in a matter of minutes. The heart of the system was the Uni Power Unit, a compact three-wheeled module powered by a 206 cubic inch Minneapolis-Moline gasoline engine, producing around 48 horsepower. A 3-speed gearbox and variable speed drive gave operators precise control, whether creeping through thick crops or traveling between fields. Despite its unconventional shape, the machine was surprisingly agile. Power steering and a tight turning radius made it feel more like an industrial loader than a farm tractor. But the real magic happened in the interface system. Each attachment came with its own hydraulics, controls, and drive mechanisms, yet all were powered through the same rear-mounted engine. Farmers didn't need multiple machines. They needed only the Uni's base unit and whatever modules their season demanded. It was efficient, futuristic, and decades ahead of the multifunction platforms used in today's agricultural equipment. Yet brilliance came with a price. The Uni was complex. Its attachments required fine adjustment. Power distribution across different implements was never perfect, and the cost of buying multiple modules was too high for most farms of the 1950s. Minneapolis-Moline continued refining the idea, but adoption never met expectations. After the company was acquired by White Motor Corporation, the concept was sold to New Idea, eventually re-emerging as the Unisystem 700, a simplified echo of the original dream. Today, collectors don't see the Uni-Tractor as a failure. They see it as a masterpiece of mechanical imagination, a machine that attempted to reinvent the very concept of farm equipment long before the industry was ready. It proved one thing clearly: innovation doesn't always win the market, but it always pushes the world forward. A tractor that could become anything. A system too advanced for its time. The Minneapolis-Moline Uni-Tractor wasn't just impossible, it was visionary. In the end, every machine you've just seen shared one truth. They weren't built to follow trends. They weren't designed to be safe, or simple, or universally accepted. They were built because someone, somewhere, believed farming could be pushed further, no matter how strange the idea looked on paper. Some of these tractors became legends. Some vanished into barns, auctions, and memories. But each one left behind a question that still echoes through agriculture today. What happens when engineers stop asking, "Can we?" and start asking, "Why not?" If one of these impossible machines surprised you, inspired you, or made you look twice, let me know which one in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the forgotten edges of farming history, make sure to subscribe, because there are many more machines out there that defied logic, challenged tradition, and reshaped the fields we take for granted. Thank you for watching. And until the next journey, stay curious, stay passionate, and keep your eyes open for the machines the world wasn't ready for.